Hello, welcome to the Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh's Teen Time at Home. My name is Max. I'm happy you could join us today. For today's activity, we'll be experimenting with watercolors and mixed media while also learning some basic chemistry. I enjoy using watercolor with other mediums because it can interact so differently with every medium. In the end, it can create a really unique looking artwork. So before we begin that, let's do our icebreaker. What do you like to spend money on? I like to spend money on art supplies, specifically spray paint. If you've watched these videos before, I've explained I'm a muralist, so that's what I do, make a lot of murals with spray paint. It's pretty absurd how much spray paint I have. So let's move on to the activity. You may have received supplies for today's activity in a grab-and-go kit available at select CLP locations. If not, that's okay, and we're happy to have you. We want to know what you would like us to do next. Please let us know in the comments or send us an email to teens@carnegielibrary.org. Later in this video, I will show you a time-lapse of a mixed media painting I made. For this painting, I included all the materials that are in the grab-and-go pad: watercolor, pencil, colored pencil, and ballpoint pen. As I'm painting and drawing, be sure to pay attention to how the watercolor interacts with other mediums. Like I said, this is also a quick introduction to some basic chemistry. More specifically, this is an example of solutions, suspensions, and colloids. A simpler way to think of this is how well one thing will mix with another, and if that mixture is permanent or if it will eventually separate. A permanent mixture is called a solution. This is where one material, the solute, will completely dissolve in the solvent to create a solution. An easy example of this is mixing salt and water. When stirred, the salt will no longer be seen and it will never separate. The opposite of this is a suspension. The most common example of this is mixing oil and water, which will always repel each other. Suspensions will always separate after settling. Notice how the oil rises to the top while the water remains at the bottom. Watercolor is a unique mixture that is neither a solution nor a suspension. It's a colloid. The solid color blocks of watercolor are made up of a pigment, a fine powder of colors compressed together. The pigment powders are too large to properly dissolve in the water, and they are also too small to separate as a suspension. Colloids will often look like a solution as they will never separate, but they are not actually dissolved in the water. When painting with watercolors, you are reintroducing water to whatever materials you have already drawn with. Some of these materials are resistant to water, while others are not. Although the pencil can easily be smeared by hand, water will not reactivate it or dissolve it, as the graphite mixture in the pencil is insoluble in water. The ink in a ballpoint pen is also insoluble in water, and it will also resist the water in watercolor. You might expect that a colored pencil would resist the water, as the colored pencil uses a combination of wax and pigment. However, the watercolor will partially blend over the top of the colored pencil. This is because the colored pencil also contains powdered pigments, just like our watercolors, which means that it can also be mixed in water to create a colloid. Although the water mixes with the pigment does not actually move as it is bound by the wax, and the wax is insoluble in water. What we're going over today is a very introductory level of chemistry and solutions. If you want to get a better grasp of what solutions, suspensions, and colloids are and how they work, I suggest you check out 2 online videos covering this topic. The first is Solutions Crash Course Chemistry. This can be found via pbslearningmedia.org or YouTube. The other is called Suspensions, Colloids, and Solutions Chemistry Khan Academy. This can be found on khanacademy.org or YouTube. If you'd like to try more fun experiments like these, I suggest checking out the book Make Your Lab: 28 Super Cool Projects by Jack Challoner. If you're more interested in the mixed media art aspect of this program, I'd recommend reading Collage Playground, a fresh approach to creating mixed media art by Kimberly Santiago. Or if you'd like to learn more about painting with watercolor, I'd recommend Water, Paper, Paint, Exploring Creativity with Watercolor and Mixed Media by Heather Smith Jones. If you'd like to try even more programs involving STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, the Carnegie Science Center offers all for other ways to advance your skills in art or STEM.